20 years ago, I had a gun pointed to my head that looked like a weapon of war, and it was by a National Guardsman. So we're coming up on the 20th anniversary of Hurricane Katrina. And on September 1st, 2025, 3 to 4 days after Hurricane Katrina, I made the decision to leave the city on my own accord because I was done waiting to be rescued. And there's a new documentary on Netflix about Hurricane Katrina that I would recommend that you all take a look at. But there's a survivor named Leanne. And Leanne talks about how she was walking up the Mississippi River Bridge in order to go to the other side of the river, which was drier, higher ground.
No bridge to get to the West Bank, but once you got up there, the police turned you back around and told you to go back to the convention center. We couldn't go across the river.
I came across those same guardsmen. We were desperate, we were tired, we were hungry, we were dehydrated. This is August, it was hot, it was humid, it was miserable. We ended up using a lot of our supplies to help the people who were around us because we were all in survival mode. So I'd stolen a bike, and I distinctly remember riding this bike on Interstate 10 thinking, if I can just get to Baton Rouge, I'll be okay. There were parts of I-10 that were submerged underwater. So the only way to go west was to cross the Mississippi River. So I stole this bike and was riding up the Mississippi River Bridge. You could see in the distance that there was a line of men who were in camouflage military type uniforms. I couldn't see that they were holding guns at that time in the distance, but you could certainly tell that it looked like the military was at the summit of the bridge.
They were met by a line of armed Gretna policemen who fired shotguns over their heads and turned them back.
There were a lot of people who were trying to get across the bridge. So as I'm approaching on the bicycle, I'm passing tons of people, and they're telling me that the guardsmen are not letting anyone cross the bridge. You're not allowed to go onto the other side of the river for safety. They were only letting vehicles go. They were not allowing pedestrians. And so I thought maybe because I was on a bicycle that they would let me cross. So I approached with my bicycle, and 3 men took their guns and went from this position to this position towards me. And New Orleans has a reputation of being a dangerous city, of being plagued with gun violence. But to be honest with you, the first time I ever had a gun pointed to my head was by a National Guardsman. So what I ended up doing was begging a guy who knows, he probably had stolen the car. I ended up begging him to just let me put my arm in the window of his car, and I would stay on the bike, and I would basically attach myself to the car in order to go across. And that way I became part of the vehicle. I begged and pleaded. He was very reluctant. You have to understand that during this time, people were desperate. So he didn't know if I was potentially trying to rob him or maybe steal his car, but he trusted me. And he rolled down his window and he allowed me to put my arm in the car. I tucked my legs in to get them off the pedals, and they allowed us to drive through. That was pretty scary. So yeah, I still live with the trauma every single day of not knowing if I would survive my own rescue. And so when I see the military and members of the National Guard being deployed in certain cities, it is very triggering because depending on what their stated mission is, it may not be to protect you, even though that is what they're called to do.